Um, all right, so I am going to, after I'm done, I'm going to ask him to repeat part of that again. But basically, I coached for 14 years. I had a program called Wolfpack Academy where I was fortunate enough to coach youth while I was in high school as well. And then I went on to coach some dudes who were able to play D1 basketball, go make it overseas. And then from there, I went to Los Angeles. I had a community program um, where we took the youth that didn't have the money to make it on any team and didn't have the resources or coaching available to them. And we went and, kind of provided the coaching for free. And then we also hosted our own leagues and hosted our own events. And then after that, I went to Texas where I was coaching at Trinity University. And I was also still doing my community events and everything. And now we're back home in Miami. I'm not coaching right now, but I wanted to create RYSE Network because I have seizures, my girlfriend has seizures, and we're not physically able to do as much as we used to. So we still wanted to be in the basketball world, and we figured this would be the easiest way to not just be able to be in the basketball world, but to create new avenues for other people to be able to get the exposure and get the recognition and get the experience of the basketball world that they're looking for, especially on like the local levels for the different cities and states.
Yeah, yeah, I understand. Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
So, do you have any questions for me, or do you
y-
want me to go ahead and begin?
yeah, we'll go through the questions, and we want to leave a little bit of room just so we can kind of open the door for conversation in case there's other things that may come across one of our minds, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, sure, sure, no problem.
Okay. Once again, really quickly, tell us who you are and how you got to be where you are right now.
I'm Chadwick
Hmm.
Atkins. I grew up in Colorado, born and raised, played basketball since I was 8 years old. And when I moved to Baltimore, Maryland, I moved there for a new life to get schooling. I wanted to go to Gallaudet University to play basketball, and I wasn't able to make the team due to like favoritism. And so I still continue to play in Baltimore, Maryland, joining leagues, moved to Florida, and I got very involved in the deaf basketball leagues and clubs in that state. Um, I'm personally a second generation deaf family, so I grew up watching my dad and uncle play basketball, doing, 2v2, 3v3. I saw the passion of the game. I began to love it myself. And within the deaf club, I wanted to give back to the community. And I wanted to know how I can give back to my community, knowing that the deaf community is small, it's not growing, and I was thinking, how am I going to find my own MBA? I wanted a professional team. That was always the vision. And I've struggled for 5 years with negotiations with Joe Newen. We're building this rapport, trying to get this team set up and established for the last 5 years. And this year I've become an owner, and I'm really motivated and excited. This is the first Deaf Pro team in Chicago. I'm excited to, be able to found this organization. And I know that, with my organization, we're going to have two deaf organizations, WAD, which is for West West Superband Association for the Deaf, and then the CCD is the Chicago Club for the Deaf. I'm going to be supporting both of those organizations. CCD has their three own team players, so they're going to join my team, and um, WAD has two players, and I'm going to have them go into my team, and then I'm going to bullhorn for these clubs, and we're going to collaborate to fill these gaps within the deaf and hearing community in the pro world. And that's my vision.
That is absolutely amazing on so many levels. And I want to say, just first of all, I'm really happy that you've been able to take the time with me, giving us the opportunity, because a lot of what we do, like I was telling before, is that we want to be able to like reach out to different organizations that are like founded on just supporting our people. You know what I mean? Because there's so many different groups that are just like that don't have the accessibility that everyone else does, and we want to provide that accessibility to everybody, and also show that like not just provide the accessibility, but show that there's support. You know that there is support for everyone out there. You know, so I think what you're doing is absolutely amazing.
I know there's a lot of deaf individuals that have the vision to want to become, a player in the NBA, and I see them fall off and fall into, a life of addiction, um, having a lot of barriers and things of that nature. And I ended up being one of those people. And I want to do this ABA to get people overseas and in the pro league so that way they can have a better life than going back to like a street life, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. I worked in mental health before, and part of what my organization did before my previous organization before we rebranded, was that we would take the kids and take even the adults that we saw at the parks and even the families of the kids and people that we worked with. We would do counseling for them. We do some mentorship programs for them because we would want to help people out the best that we could, and we understand that it's difficult. I grew up in Liberty City, in Miami, in Opelika, Miami Gardens. Like these are all neighborhoods that are just like filled with like,
Yeah, I know
uh,
those areas.
yeah, and
I
mm,
used to live in Orlando, so
mm,
I'm familiar with that as well.
yeah, and it's for lack of a better phrase, it's rough, So we definitely wanted to be able to support it, and like I said, like the biggest thing is just being able to help out other people because it's easy to say you should be doing this or why didn't you make this better decision, but it's a lot tougher to say instead of me beating you down where you are, let me reach out that hand and show you that we should be helping each other out.
Right, right, I agree.
Yeah. So
I don't criticize my players. I encourage their skills. I try to help them hone them, shape them. They say they want to go to the Olympics in the next, for the in 3, 4 years. And so I
mm,
tell them, hey, I know what your goals are. So I'm encouraging you to explode. I'm encouraging you to improve. You know, you're doing the ABA and it might shape you in a different person in the future based on what you do today.
yeah, definitely. I think one of the biggest things is like we don't see a lot of that encouragement aspect. We see a lot of why aren't you perfect? If you're gonna come play with us, why aren't you already perfect? If you're gonna try to be an athlete, you have to understand that there's 10,000 people better than you, and it's like, well, even if these things are true, that doesn't make me feel good or make me want to pursue this. That just makes me feel like I'll never be good enough. And we do need to do a better job of like saying, hey, look, you are talented. Let's work on building you up from there, as opposed to saying you're not at this level, so you either need to get there or just don't even bother trying. Yes, there is some reality to like some things that we have to like some goals and levels we have to get at, but at the same time, our approach to getting to those goals and our approach to helping people get there can be a lot more positive and productive than just beating everybody down all the time, you know?
Right, right. Like I said, with words like could, would, should, we just have to like remove them from our vocabulary and just focus on the abilities people already have and the ability that they have to help the team. Knowing what their role is, those can change very quickly. When you don't know this, with the score, you can change it based on whatever skills you have to change the game with passing, shooting, rebounding, like, hey, I should do the ABA, I should do the ABA, and I'm like dreaming about it and dreaming about it. What can you do right now? That's all I care about.
Right, 100%. I get that. So with that, I want to ask you, like, with your organization, what do you guys look for in a player? Do you guys, I know we just touched a bit about it already, but like, are you guys looking for like raw talent? Are you guys looking for ready-made talent? What do you guys take as your approach um, when it comes to how you guys recruit players?
Yeah, so I scout and I do research development on players on how they would fit within the puzzle, like what piece that they could be. So when within the last 5 years, I've been looking at these players. And so when I recruited them, when I began, they were ready. They were like, I'm all in. So I already had an idea of what their potential could be, what their role is, what they're capable of now, and how they can change the game without, like whether or not they're a star player, how can the team, rely on you? Are you vocal on the floor? How can you lead the team without your star player? Like and and so my lineup is the importance of defense. We're good. I'm more concerned about defense than offense. I support, the mental health, um, deaf awareness, Black history, uh, Mexican and indigenous
Mm-hmm.
heritage month. I'm very open to diversity. I'm just really open to, you know, anyone with talent joining my team. This year the team is full, but next year, I'm ready to open some spots for skilled players to join our team. I'm just looking to show our abilities and the games that like we play and seeing if there are more talented players out there.
Yeah, definitely get that. Uh, I have to ask, how do you plan? Because I know you said you have a few players that are coming in that are deaf, and then a few players that are not, right? So how do you guys plan on uh,
Yeah.
showing, or like, how do you guys plan on getting the flow of the game together with that? Because for the people who are watching, they may not understand how that works for you know. So how do you guys plan on getting that together?
Yeah, so the main thing is communication. Basketball is a universal language. You being able to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, D, like
Mm,
right, like you're dribbling and you're signing Chicago at the same time.
mm,
You have those plays set, which sign is the symbol for what. And with the hearing players, I'm going to offer that they download the app ASL Blooms because they can learn sign and deaf culture within that app. And we'll go over basketball terminology with rebound, steal, score, pass, defense, run gun, 4-1,
mm,
zone, those types of things. I would teach them like the basic terminology just to build a foundation. And then, with the point guard just running it and they can communicate, hey, I'm going to screen for you. Hey, I'm going to set a pick for you to go and just communicating. I don't want my hearing players talking. I want my hearing players signing so that way the other players, they don't know who's hearing or deaf. They don't know who's scoring. They don't know, I'd rather, hey, like, yeah, we're signing on the court.
Mm,
You're gonna see a lot of hands moving. Um, when I'm gonna raise my hand because I know I got a gap where I can get through. Just being able to communicate that way on the floor, and that's my key is just using communication, setting up plays and running those plays, and making sure like executing and completing the plays and getting back on defense.
okay. Do you feel like there may be a bit of a delay because, we played the game ourselves, going up and down the court. Sometimes you're looking for your man, you're looking to see where the ball is at the moment, and you may miss a visual cue. Do you feel like that would be an issue for you guys during the game?
Yeah, yeah, I hear what you're saying. And
Mm,
it's very common for miscommunication to happen. You see that, and they don't see the pass, and they'll like give up, and they'll make up like their own play, um, and they'll just like create something on their own, and then there'll be an error in that pass. So I do have to remind, like, hey, you need to pay attention. Like, don't just go ahead and pass, like set up the play, pass. So like it does take cues, but it's really just up to the team to communicate and set that tempo and how that tempo is going to run. There will be like a captain to take care of that. I will have three ABA experienced players that's going to be on the team. And there are two hearing players that are actually rookies to being ABA. So I'm just encouraging any level to play as much as they can. That's why I have a B team for those who don't have enough minutes on that
mm,
team. So I can switch over to the B team for like leagues, to play with, let them develop their skills. Like it's like a development league, right? Like
mm.
that's what I consider my B team. Like letting them develop their skills, hone them so they can get to the uh native. Okay, so to be on Native Hawks.
Mm. Okay. Um, okay. Uh, I know you talked about your goals for the next, 10 years and how you guys want to grow and grow. Um, but this season specifically, what are you looking to do? Are you looking to make an impact, like community wise specifically, or are you looking to go all the way for the championship this season, or just develop the players? What's the Native Hawks goal for this season right now?
So I have two different visions. I have two different missions for ABA to be like at that championship. I don't see that. So just being able to get the recognition and seeing like, ooh, that team's working hard. We're really excited about that team. And then for the deaf world, like with CAD and um, I have CAD, DBO, and DBO. And so CAAD is Central Athletics Association for the Deaf, right? So that's that. DBO is the Deaf Basketball Tournament Organization. And there is the National Deaf Basketball Association for tournaments as well.
Okay. So, along with those organizations that you're already working with, and making some noise with, are there any other like community specific organizations or even your own initiatives that you guys are like engaged in right now or planning to be engaged in soon, to kind of help the community as a whole?
I do work with the Deaf Platzel already. there's a collaboration for the s- field soldiers
Mm-hmm.
for the Bears game, the Soldiers Field game. It's a
Mm-hmm.
fundraiser and it's under the DPS organization. And we've been collaborating with them for some time now. But we just started making noise with the deaf church. We just did a very successful car wash recently. So I'm working with SWBODA. It's a deaf center for a block party this September 5th. So I'm trying to work with two different deaf clubs. There's WSAD and CCD, and that's what we've been doing.
Okay. So my partner, he's from Chicago. He wasn't able to be with us for this one. Um, so he, kind of grew up in kind of the rough parts of Chicago, and when you look around the city, different people have different views of it. There's obviously anywhere you go, there's like the vacation tourist like areas, and then there's like the rougher parts. Like so when you go around the city and you're doing your work and you're engaging with the community, what do you see as like something that needs to be filled as far as like what the community as a whole needs, whether it be with the youth or with the adults, with family structures, education, assistance, things of that nature. What do you think needs to be filled and that you're focused on?
Yeah, so I do believe that education needs to be improved. There's so much corruption. That's why my son's at private school. CPS needs really big changes. Education needs to change. We need to have like right like we have lots of budget cuts, so like we really need to like increase financing, like basketball sports programs, music programs, art programs. They're just being cut everywhere, and it's like, no, we need to save these. um Cursive, we're not even writing cursive. We've like it's like a lost art. Like nobody comprehends why that's important. I want to preserve that, and I think that those things are important.
Okay, yeah, I definitely agree with you, especially on like the cursive, because like I remember when I was in second grade, I was required to learn cursive, and that I was required to have like an art-based class and a music class. Um, and to me, that was like, yeah, to me, even looking back on it now, I'm like, yeah, that's what school should be, a place for you to learn and become book smart, but also to explore your creativity and your own like personal side, because maybe one of these classes is what you really connect with and you can build from there. Maybe you didn't know you were into art until you had your art class, and then it kind of came natural, or it became such an interest for you that you wanted to pursue it.
Right, like projects you can do and things you want to take. I'm not an artist, but when I was in art, I had so much fun. It was just, it really killed the time. It passed so quickly. I could work on those projects and I looked forward to the next thing. It was so much fun. The same concept of basketball. I always wanted to know what the next practice was like and things like that. When it was cut, I really didn't like it. Funding really is killing us.
Yeah, and
That's why I want to save, this community, especially for the deaf community. It's small, funding is not much. For clubs and things like that, there's not a lot of money. It's a lot of, things are done by donations and grants, and it's, ways do you have to try to figure out how to get money to run clubs. It's really difficult, and that's why this, deaf community needs somebody to help to, lift it up and revamp, the Chicago deaf community.
yeah,
And there's somebody who needs to come through and change things.
yeah, and it's more than just that. It's also even if it's not something you're necessarily talented in, like how you're saying, how art, even though you're not an artist, art made the time go by, I think about like kids don't have actual outlets, and you think about the mental health state of a lot of different communities now. There's not a lot of outlets for kids, and they grow up still not having those outlets, and then they kind of turn to more destructive things, and or develop these like internal habits and behaviors that kind of like mess them up as they grow, and it's not good for their development, and I think that it's definitely something that's important to kind of make sure they have PE, make sure they have art, make sure they have music, make sure they have just anything that you could think of, to just bring them an outlet one way or another.
Yeah, I want to bring back, a basketball program because some schools they don't have that. It's like so I really want to focus on youth programs and they don't have basketball, or after school activities, it's really slim. They'd have to join a league and the parent has to pay for AAU, but they can't pay for that. If it's $300 for training and trying to get $5,000 to be on an AAU team, they can't do that if they're going to go to a trainer who's, $300, or if they're going to go to the AAU league, which is better. And, I want to focus on the basketball word because there's not much right now. It's not like it was in the past back in the day.
Right. 100% agree. Because Zoom is telling us we only got about 7.5 minutes left. We want to get to that last question. What 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 do you what impact do you hope to make with you and your story? I know we had kind of went over that question before in our messages, but like, just wondering if you had time to think about it. Like, what do you want to take your story? How is it going to impact the people you're hoping to reach?
My story, I want, to shout out to the youth community. I don't want them to fall back into, that street life or drug life or anything like that. This is a safe haven for youth, for the community to be a part of this organization. And this is about basketball, no drugs, no alcohol. It's about healthy living, having a healthy lifestyle. It's good for your mental health. It's all of these things. And I am trying to impact the deaf community here because the community needs big help and big changes. The deaf community needs to be, band together in one unit instead of having all these different sub pockets and everybody separate. It's not successful. It's not effective. We need to come back to one unit. It'll be a lot more successful if we all bond together as one unit, the brotherhood or the sisterhood. And for ABA, as an owner, I want my story to impact all over the world, that I'm a deaf individual, that I can do it. If you're deaf, you can too. It's not, nobody's stopping you. If you have a handicap, it's all right. Nobody's stopping you. If you maybe have a delay, nobody's stopping you. You can be part of this organization.
I really, I'm 100%, in support of everything you're doing, man. I really, I see the passion, and I'm with it 100%. If you had any like advice for somebody that would be, maybe they're an adult that wants to pursue their dreams but isn't sure about it, or maybe it's the youth who may not have the guidance that they need but doesn't know how to go about, like, looking for help, or who to really trust to kind of help them along the way. What advice would you have for them?
I would say grow your support team in a positive way, not in negative ways. Be positive, grow that support team, spread your wings, and, take your first step. And then you'll be able to be successful, to be a part of who you are and make some noise from there. And then be as loud as you can get to be the most successful, get recognition anywhere.
Okay, I appreciate that. We're close to our time being up. I do want to say again, like, I really appreciate you giving us the time because, like I said, it's bigger than basketball for us, and we want to make sure like everyone we partner with, everyone that we do anything with, we want to find the organizations that are giving back to the community because we want to build and that idea of community again. It's not just people in an area together, but people that are supporting each other and that are creating these bonds and creating these connections with each other to promote a stronger society. And I really see what you guys are doing, and I'm 100% behind it. And, I hope, you guys see what we're doing and that we can continue building together.
Yes, I agree. Amen. I look forward to our partnership, and I'll see you at the spot 5. Come on down to my ballpark.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. As soon as either myself or my partner can get over there, we'll ride over there to exactly where you guys are. We'll come out to watch a game, watch a practice, come hoop with you guys, whatever it is. We'll find some time and do it.
Awesome, no problem. Sounds good. Thank you
Yeah,
so much for having me. Thank
of
you for your
course.
time.